recorded if you ever want to listen back. So we will first begin with a call to order. Oh, excuse me, our invocation by Councilmember Coolhooley. And sorry, I'm already using the Canadian accent again, sorry. Sorry. All right, so Coolhooley will give our opening invocation, and then we'll have a Pledge of Allegiance led by our Chief Brower.
Heavenly Father, we are very grateful for the comfortable lives that we have here. We're grateful for thy patience with us as we figure out the best way to manage the resources thou hast given to us, and ask for thy wisdom to do so in a way that would be pleasing unto thee. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please rise and repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Hooley and Chief Brower. All right, now we will begin with our call to order. So I'll start here on my left, here on the rostrum.
Lincoln Jacobs here.
Cole Hooley present.
Van Broderick present.
Carolyn Lundberg present.
Steve Stewart, present.
Jake Hoyt present.
All right, fantastic. We have full attendance this afternoon, evening. Thank you. We will now move on to item number 2, our presentations and announcements. And I'm very excited to say that we have gone through the process to become an official Just Serve city. So I'd like to welcome forward Tom and Jane Fox, who are the local Just Serve specialists, and Administrator Cowie, if he has any additional introductory remarks regarding this new designation our city has.
I'm going to let Tom and Jane take over
Hey,
here.
I just
so
didn't
they
want
are
you to-
welcome to go
Okay.
grab a seat at the table. And
You want to stand or sit?
you know, if you can sit and talk close into that mic, that helps us with our recording. Make sure that we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is an honor for us to be here to represent JustServe.org and to present to Lindon City the certificate of Just Serve City. You've met the criteria to do so, and we're excited to give this to you and encourage you to continue the path to become a global Just Serve City. And we've discussed that with some of the administrators and with your administrator on what that continues to do. And we're going to look very much forward to be able to present you to JustServe.org for that designation. So thank you very much, and we'll give this to...
Let's go ahead and
Can
I'll
we
have our
do
council
a
come
picture?
do a photo.
We also have just a little swag, and you're welcome to use it however you want. Do you want me to just leave it here? What would you like me to do?
You're great.
Yeah, we can just move it up here. We'd like to invite some dolls to come up and be in our picture as well. Come with me.
You take a picture and we'll jump.
We want you to...
How dolls are you guys?
You have the foxes and mayor's camp.
We'll go quick before they all time out. Ready? Let's see. Van, I got to get you in there. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Here, that's fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell me what
complimentary phone you could have taken.
So Brother and Sister Fox, thank you so much for all your coordination on this. We did a couple things. We found that as a city, we already had done a few things, and we've been coordinating with Just Serve for some time now. Our Parks and Rec, our 9/11 Days of Service, it's been really fantastic. And so meeting with you and learning how we can take the next steps to become a global city, we're excited to do that, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. All righty, and then next, if there's any other presentations or announcements from council that are outside of your council reports, this would be the time to share those. All right, moving on then to item number 3. This is our open session for public comment. So anything that is not listed on the agenda that an individual would like to come forward and speak to the council, this would be the time to do so. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, our council reports. And whomever wants to kick it off, okay,
I don't know why it just falls to me. I just like doing it first.
get it out of the way.
We are having our first official youth council meeting here in these chambers next Monday. And at that point, we will be electing our youth mayor, vice mayor, and 6 other positions, and beginning our service for the next year. We've got a lot going. We had a great time during Lindon days and really got to know them well and better, and they got to know each other better. We've changed up a few things, the way that we operate and the way that we train, so they are already hitting the ground running, and we're excited to see them. This group of 18 are quite special youth, and we're excited to see what they do from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll go next. Adam stole my thunder, but in the best way. I really appreciate you sending that out. I have the honor and privilege of receiving that email every other week from Chief, and I feel like ignorance is bliss sometimes, but we really appreciate you, Chief, and you're in our thoughts and our prayers as things like what happened in Tremont occur. We're thinking a lot of our guys and your guys, and anyways, we appreciate you. Thanks, and appreciate Adam sending that around, and it probably wouldn't hurt to send those around to the whole crew every once in a while. So we'll try to keep you guys apprised of those. That's all I have.
Great, Van,
Sure,
we're shaking it up a little.
that's good. Variety of things to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is our Public Works. Is this even on? I don't think I'm getting anything out of that. Is our Public Works people regarding the cemetery, is we had a longtime Lindon resident pass away, Lou Henriksen, and I went by the cemetery a couple hours after the service and watched our crews as they just finish things up, tidy things up in the reverent, respectful manner that they do. It was noticed and appreciated, and I told them thanks, but if you would pass that along as well. If you haven't noticed, Center Street has a seal coat on it, and it has the lanes, the striping down back there, and it looks sharp like that. We've repainted the roundabout, which I think we're probably gonna have to repaint about 5 or 6 times a year already. It's run over a lot, but it really looks sharp. Update on well number 5. If you remember when we voted on that, we talked openly about you could get 0 gallons per minute out of that, and there's a risk when you do it. You do all your planning and your preparation, and you study, and there's a lot of cool science to figure out the best spots, but it really looks like it's coming together pretty well. We've been running at the 2,500 gallons per minute. We just jumped it up to the 3,250, and either this evening or tomorrow, we'll jump to 4,000, and 4,000 looks like what we'll get out of that well at 4,000 gallons per minute. So pretty excited about that, and so thank you all for voting for that. And obviously, there's other work that has to happen in this next months and year, probably, on getting it connected into our system. Just to kind of bring you up to a little bit of update on our irrigation and canal companies, the Provo Bench Canal Company, we've been meeting multiple times. That is in the process of, most likely, the board is recommending it'll go to the shareholders coming up, vote to dissolve that company. And following that would also be the North Union Irrigation Company as well. The idea, again, is to take all of the water out of the Provo River Aqueduct and hook into our system. The efficiency of that, we've measured sometimes up to a 40% loss of water in the canal. Today, we were reviewing some information sent to us by an attorney that had concerns about water leakage and the liability of that. So if we can get everything to come through a safe, secure, no waste, no water loss, no liability, no small children getting places where we don't want, it'll be a huge, huge thing for our city. And again, this has taken years and years, but this process is turning out to be pretty complicated as attorneys and lawyers and consultants are involved, but we've met a couple of times in the last few weeks, and more meetings are coming in the next little bit as well. But exciting and good news for the people of Lindon. Also, we've been working very, very closely and try to reach out and talk to the last 4 or 5 years on any of the water shareholders and how this will impact them, giving them many different options and choices on what they can do to keep them watering the way that they would like to. So, but it's a long, complicated process, but things are coming together.
Thank you for that report, Ann.
A little long, sorry.
That's awesome. So the communities that care, there's an upcoming training for those who are interested on post-suicide interventions, so after a death. So if you have interest in that, that's on the 22nd. The Historic Commission, they are meeting next week to get ready for the holidays, sort of like the tree lighting and things like that. They're anticipating to continue the honorary person to turn on the tree, and we'll submit some recommendations for that to us. The Trees Board met, reviewed tree needs. They also reviewed our decision with Geneva, with the removal of those trees, and trying to think through maybe some alternatives that could be put there that wouldn't cause problems but help beautify the area. And then the interlocal with school stuff. So 2 things. One is, so Jen Lyman and Wendy Cope were the 2 who emerged from the primary. And then Wendy Cope dropped out of the race. And then the county went to Alicia Alba to ask her if she would run because she was 3rd in line, and she decided not to run. So now it went to the 4th person. So John Gadd, who was 4th, has accepted and will be running in the election. So it'll be Jen Lyman and John Gadd.
On the ballot?
On the ballot. Those will be the 2 options. And then we met just a few weeks ago after all the cities took action to fund a lobbyist. We had our first meeting with the lobbyists that we were interested in, and they are in the process of sort of a viability check, I think, is maybe the best way of saying it, to just sort of see what would be the most effective avenues to advocate for the changes that we were discussing. And then we're meeting again with them, I think, Monday to see what their analysis is. So that's plugging along. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Good report.
A few items here. Van, you said you apologize for going long, but it's all interesting stuff that I think you guys want to hear about. I'm sorry. Heritage Trail ribbon cutting, that was so cool. It was really interesting to hear everything, Mayor. You did a great job in your speech there. I had a chance to talk with Mayor Dane, and he was just kind of, man, I threw this out so many years ago, and we got $5,000 towards this, and it was just a teeny tiny bit of money, but we made it, right? And for me, it was it was inspiration in begin with the end in mind, and you've got to take a step in any direction in order to accomplish something. But that's a great trail. that has now been completed in a fun event. Thanks, Heath, for kind of organizing that. We had a DRC meeting. And for you to appreciate what DRC is, I don't know if everyone understands. This is just people coming in and saying, hey, we're going to throw this spaghetti on the wall. It's pre-planning commission. It's just people saying, how do you feel about this? Colliers purchased the property where Vivint is, right? The old WordPerfect soft copy. They have now purchased that property. They have a two-phase plan. The first phase is to put some retail pads out right there on the side of 1600. Their second phase was 550 apartments. And I have to just salute Mike. He handled that so well. When I walked into the meeting, they're talking about phase one, and I look at phase two, and my jaw hits the floor. I had to clean it off. I think I even had to put a Band-Aid on there. But then when they got to phase two talking about it, Mike was just good, professional. And he says, our council doesn't really have that appetite. They sometimes are a little more open to townhouses. Maybe we can kind of look at that direction, which is, it's a DRC meeting. They're just throwing spaghetti on the wall. But kudos to Mike. He did a great job. Brittany was there as well. It was good to see both of them in action. Jake and I have been invited to meet with Civil Science. That's the group that's doing the concept idea with our concept plan on our parks, the 3 parks. So we're going to be meeting with them. This is early on, just a concept plan. We've been invited to attend. Juan and I played in the pickleball tournament. And one of the teams that we played against were 2 elders from the Bible church. And in their conversation, they mentioned that they had expressed interest to buying some of that property, some of the Thornton property that we purchased. I had no idea that was going on. I think our staff has been talking with them a little bit. That's more like the DRC thing, right? Spaghetti on the wall. We don't know what's going to happen in there, but I thought it was interesting and something you'd like to be aware of as well. Lights on the temple. We've been working with whoever's in charge at the temple. Mike's been doing a great job. Some of those neighbors, those lights are really intense, and they've been 24/7. And we think we've got it to where they turn them off at 11 so that those residents can actually get up in the middle of the night and have a little bit of darkness in their home. But then they turn those back on somewhere at 4 or 5. So it'll be interesting as we go forward. That light impact, it affects a lot of people that live in that area. Transfer station. We know they have some property way north that is absolutely not zoned for transfer station, and we've had conversations with them about maybe that would be valuable property that they could sell and get revenue from. And they're actually discussing that. They've been meeting with some realtors and this and that, and they're looking at property way out west to maybe do a separate one. So we're getting some traction on some of those thoughts and concepts. So I thought you'd like to hear that. And by the way, Steve and I are going to go on a transfer station field trip tomorrow with them to go South Valley, because I like that, and I thought I'd bring Steve along as well. I had a great experience with our police department. I think I accidentally interrupted a drug arrest. I had a friend, I was driving down the road, and they said, what's the story with the Bible church? So I pulled into Acherson's property and was showing them, and an officer came off to the side. I think it was Officer Jameson, and great job, fantastic job. He said, what's going on tonight? Just sharing about what's going on with our Bible church. And he said, okay, just wondering if you were involved in this situation we've got behind us. And no, we're just talking over here. But Officer Jameson did a great job, very professional, nice job. Appreciate it very much. That's all.
Lincoln?
Mayor, if I could come back,
Certainly.
I failed to recognize something that I should. I'm also over the senior programs, and Jamie Jensen does such an incredible job with that. But there is going to be a senior resource fair a week from tonight, Tuesday, September 9th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here in our community center, where they'll be able to get information about finances and healthcare, nutrition and estate planning, transportation services and such. So it's a great opportunity for them. So just wanted to mention that.
We have amazing senior services for such a small town, so kudos to our staff. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. I think that's an event that's only about once a year, so hopefully we can get the word out, so there will be good attendance for those that would benefit from it. Thank you, everyone, for your liaison assignments. You're all get A+. on that and great reports and your involvement there. The Heritage Trail really was a significant ribbon cutting. We had representatives from our sister cities as well as our federal delegations, senators and congressmen, their offices. Later in the day, Senator Kennedy came down, met with us as well. As you know, the trailhead where we held that ribbon cutting is the designated Future Nature Science Center, which will be a statewide regional hub for education for children, for the community, for science and research to restore the lake and its natural systems. So we are working on, currently right now, Congressman Kennedy and Senator Curtis have gotten some new appropriations in the next federal bill earmarking their up to $7 million at this point. So once we can secure that, then we're hoping we can take it to our local state legislature to fund some of the rest of that. So that is still in progress, and it was great to have our federal delegations there from Congressman Owens, Senator Lee's office, as well as our county commissioners and whatnot. So, and that has been a 20-plus year project in the making to have that connection, and it's going to be an amazing recreational resource for miles around. So thank you to our staff who helped put that together, and Vineyard City as well that we are coordinating with. Public Works, as Van mentioned, there's a whole bunch of infrastructure always going in Lindon City. I'm proud to say this group prioritizes, infrastructure as one of the top 3 things, along with our public safety in the community, and we're very blessed to have good resources to do that. So much coming online there with the water, with the roads, with sewer, with all kinds of things. So we have also, with the interlocal meeting, I just wanted to mention, so our lobby group, the Stan Lockhart group, I did get a call from Stan a couple days ago, and he did say he's already started some conversations regarding maybe getting some meetings with Central and West leadership, current leadership there with the future school districts there, just to try to start building bridges with some of the things that we're hoping, especially how the debt service will divide the debt accounts as well as the capital cash on hand accounts. There's some tricky nuances with dates that those might happen and how they're accounted for based on student enrollment, based on taxable value. So hoping that they will collaborate with us on that so we don't get the short end of the stick on that in our opinion. So he seemed to think that his last review was that he didn't think any of the seismic issues were probably going to get any headway potentially with the legislature or otherwise, but perhaps 1 or 2 of those other points that are on the list might. So he was looking a little more favorable. So hopefully we'll have more to report after our next interlocal meeting with our other 4 cities. Yes, we will have an interesting ballot this November. So for our new Timpanogos School District, as well as City Council and myself, we have a Meet the Candidates night coming up. Our administrator, I'm sure, is going to talk a little bit about that. We'll have our Youth Council help administer that as well. They're looking forward to that. So in any event, I will just end there, and I'll turn it over to our administrator's report.
I'm going to interrupt.
Oh, yes.
One more thing that I missed. We've been talking about the improvements at the Keeneland Court stormwater. We had a chance to test it with a 1/4 inch of rain, and it performed really, really well. So we're pleased with that, and that it was in place and ready to go, and hopefully it avoids future flooding in locations. And we would like to try it again, but with a slow, gentle rain, not a gully
A
washer.
deluge.
At some point, you have to really test it. Are you scheduling a big downpour?
I wished I could.
All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Cowie.
Just a reminder, we have the citywide drill on Monday, September 15th at 6 o'clock, and wanted to invite you, and I'm sure Kelly's going to mention more of this, invite you to come assist with the food drive.
the collection here at, out in the parking lot. And then our next regular meeting, just a reminder, is on September 16th. It's a Tuesday again because of the drill the night before. We didn't want to have interruptions on that. So, and then we're back to our normal Monday. Meet the Candidates Night is set for Monday, September 22nd at 7:00 p.m. Brittany and I will have hopefully information sent out to you probably the end of this week for those candidates. It's a list of questions and then the format there. And we've had some input that we've gathered from other elected officials. So I think it'll be good. And then we'll be recording that and posting it on YouTube, so it'll be streamed live, just like our normal meetings. I sent out an email earlier on the Utah League of Cities and Towns. They have a fall conference up in Salt Lake. It's like a day and a half. If you're interested, let me know. And then I also forwarded an email. There's been some press on this Utah County property tax error that went out. The property tax bills were too low for some entities. And it sounds like they had a meeting today. The county actually created and found the error, but it mostly impacts Provo and Provo City or Provo School District. And anyway, take a look at the email I received from Ezra Nair. He's the county administrator. There's some good information about property tax in general that would be helpful. So, Van, if you didn't get that, let me know and I'll send it to you again. So, all right.
Thanks for sending that out, Adam. I appreciate that.
Cleaning up my email.
That's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Just one more quick thing. So there's a lot in the month of September. We also have our Day of Service on September 13th, 9 to 12 p.m. There's a whole bunch of things that the community can plug into. There's assembling school kits or sewing comfort hearts for Hearts Knit Together, which just recently moved their warehouse to Lindon. They put together free packages for victims of abuse or children or mothers or refugees. They're really quite special, and we're lucky to have them located here, making kits there for them. So there's a big list of things that are being collected. There's a blood drive, a bone marrow registry. There's also projects here at our Lindon Pool, the G Trail, Murdoch Trail, various parks. So there's a QR code for the public, and hopefully all of us could sort of divide and conquer across all the different things that are happening that day. So we're glad to do a lot of good there in the community, and that just ties in with the Just Serve designation as well and the coordination there. We will now move on to our approval of the minutes, and these are from August 4th, 2025. Council, if you've had a moment to review those. Any changes?
I have no changes.
I don't either. I'll make a motion that we approve the city council minutes of August 4th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you so much. And now we will move on to item number 8, as there are no consent agenda this evening. And this is something that I'm very excited about. I love America, love trying to keep that gratitude for those that have gone before and made our lives as blessed as they are. And America is going to be celebrating her 250th anniversary next year. So there's some really special opportunities here that hopefully we can do to kick off this year. And so I have a request here for you, along with Parks and Recreation Department, to form a committee so that we can stage and plan a few things to coordinate with that.
And right now, the resolution says that the committee will consist of the mayor, a city council member, Parks and Rec director, recreation superintendent, and any other city employees or residents as deemed appropriate. So not something we have to pick others tonight, but
Yeah.
just as an FYI. So.
Will there be a way for citizens who want to participate into that
Certainly.
to be aware and offer their services?
We could post that and see if, yeah, I don't know quite what they will be doing yet. And so we've looked at their website and there's a pretty broad variety of things going on, so.
there's a lot of things we can tie into existing committees, like our tree board. You know, for example, the Centennial, I asked them, make an initiative to do 1,000 tree plantings. There's things like that that we can utilize. But if there's someone who's really passionate and wants to get involved, another thing that we're kind of potentially working on with Kyle over at Follow the Flag would be, he's gonna look into, could we fly another gigantic Big Betsy in our canyon side by side with their canyon over in PG, things like that. Maybe some of our Lindon Days events could also tie in there. There's Daughters of Utah Pioneers, they always march in our parade. We have our Heritage Committee, you know, as well. So there's lots of things that we could incorporate throughout the year to teach the youth and celebrate our country, so.
Would you like us to solicit and ask for 2 people and put an application or something together?
Open to that, certainly, yeah.
Okay, it'd be
Don't
easy.
need to
Just
make
as we
it more work.
publicize it, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
it'd
if
be easy
people want to
do.
be a part.
Okay.
Council, any other questions about that? And we would be looking for council to participate as well.
Excited.
I remember as a boy, the bicentennial, and it's like, wait, what? Exactly.
I would like to move to approve resolution number 2025-21-R as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Stewart, seconded by Councilmember Hooley. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're moving on to Kelly Hoos-Johnson here. Item number 9, this is a review and action on the emergency operations plan that has recently been updated. And
That is accurate.
we are also very sad that this will be, I don't know if this is your last formal time in front of us, potentially.
Might be, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. With the exception possibly of the drill if you come to help with the food drive, which I'll kind of explain what I'd like to see from all of you if you're willing to come and participate in that. That'd be great. So every year that we've had,
Why is it your last
Yeah, I'm
Yes, we need more
missing
information.
something here.
Is
unaware
moving
that
on to-
people were unaware, but I've actually, my last day here was going to be October 10th. So I have officially resigned, and Chief and I have worked out some details about what that's going to look like, and I'm excited for what's
She has
next.
as usual, she has so much knowledge in here, but she also is so well organized and documented. Hope there's going to be a very nice package to hand off.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
trying to set up whoever comes after me to be as successful as possible. So
Thank you,
I look
Kelly.
forward
You've
to-
done amazing.
Been
Thank you,
above
Adam.
and beyond, so.
And
Appreciate that.
we are planning a little department farewell get-together, and we'll send out an email for that, so.
I didn't know about that, so.
Yeah.
We have to have a
How
party.
exciting.
It's required attendance, so.
Eat cake, I'm sure. But we're going to be sad.
Well, I'm going to be sad too. There will be a lot that I miss. It's been an excellent, I have loved serving this community. I think you all know that. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that here for the many years of service that I've been able to provide and for all of the opportunities to connect with our residents and with you, with our departments, with our partners from around the county and the state. It's been really wonderful for me. I hope that I have left enough behind to help somebody else to be successful and to carry on. And now I'm going to talk about the emergency operations plan. So annually, we have looked at this emergency operations plan and just tried to make sure that it's up to date with whatever has changed in terms of policy, statute, lessons learned that we may have discovered from exercises that we've run, and make sure that our emergency operations plan is as up-to-date and as useful as possible. This year, the changes are actually fairly negligible. You'll note that the one thing that I always do annually is update Support Annex F, which is your resolution for your succession plan for Mayor Pro Tem. That is something that is useful not just to I mean, you've got it on record elsewhere, but it's important in terms of an emergency operations plan because, of course, that's continuity of operations. And so if somebody is unavailable for whatever reason due to disaster, you want to make sure that you know who is going to follow up with that, but it's also something that the state likes to have on record. So I use that information to update the state. It's also useful for applying for specific grants. There are grants that we can't get unless we have that succession plan in place, which is why we go ahead and put it in as a support annex in the emergency operations plan. That succession plan also includes the successor to the emergency manager, and so we have a plan in place for that as well. The promulgation document is one of the first pages that you see in the emergency operations plan. It's just the page that the mayor signs and city administrator and the city recorder. And there's two minor changes to that. Well, one is very minor and the other one is up for discussion. So the Utah County has moved officially from an emergency operations plan, which they sort of had been working on for a while, but was actually never even adopted, to a CEMP, which is a comprehensive emergency management plan. It's a different label for the same plan. So I've updated that so that it's reflective. And then lastly on that, you have the option not to repromulgate this annually. And you don't have to have a presentation annually. You don't need to sign it annually. You can determine for yourselves how often you'd like to do that. It could be every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is that you think would be optimal for the city. It can still stay annually. I wanted to put the option to do that a little more with some distance in between it, if you would prefer that, so that that's something that a new emergency manager could have some space between. Doesn't mean that you can't change the document as you go, but it wouldn't need to be addressed every single year. It's up to you whether you do that. And the continuing changes in section 7.6.4 on the plan maintenance summary are reflective of that exact same discussion. How often do you need to repromulgate? And you can do it according to elections. Personally, I think it's good to get new city council people at least minimally trained on what the emergency operations plan is. So if that was every 2 or every 3 years, I think that would probably cover that. You can, again, maintain annually, but I would just like to leave that discussion to you and to determine for yourselves how often you'd like to do that.
I'm sure any of us would ask, from your experience, what do you think we need to do in that? How often would you say?
I would recommend probably no less than every 3 years. Or sorry, no more than every 3 years. Okay. So 1, 2, or 3 years is probably appropriate. If you go longer than 3 years, the amounts of things that can change within the response mechanisms could be so substantial that not only would it make your meeting really long, but also, you wouldn't be up to date on what the latest statutes are or what we may have learned from that disaster that we responded to in wherever. And I think that would kind of hit most of your elections if it was at least every 3 years. We can leave it annually. If you want somebody to sit down in front of you annually, we could do that as well.
Right. I mean, I think if that's the main key point, is just to keep that updated and notify the public, have that reviewed. Certainly, annually doesn't necessarily need to be annually, but we've loved having it as frequently as we have. But
I know
once
that
there's
there
a
are cities
founda-
that have it
Yeah.
as distant as 5 years. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a little too long, personally.
I think what you've provided is so robust as a foundation as well.
And
well served.
you're so proactive in your approach to this. It's like as you said, it could be updated without that sort of presentation. For someone who's more deadline driven, could it be possible that they wouldn't see it for 3 years until they came to present to us?
I hope not, but is it possible? Yes.
Okay, because my inclination would be to keep it annually, if only sometimes we organize around a deadline. And so if that was an external driver to have whoever in that position to be like, oh, let me look at that, if not just for themselves, for us. So I'm fine having it remain annually, and would also be fine if we extended it.
Well, I agree with you on the annual, especially where we're getting somebody new. I'd prefer to have that. If it were you continuing, I might look at 2 or 3 years, but I agree with Adam. You've done such a wonderful job, and it seems like we've been able to continue to refine. Feels like we're in a really good place, but with somebody new, I'd probably recommend to maintain the annual.
Okay, then I will propose, I can actually strike that last sentence then on the promulgation document. The policy group will re-promulgate this plan every X years. I can take that out. That's the way it stands now. However, in the 7.6.4, where it actually has the activity for maintenance review and update, we'll leave that as annually, which is the way it stands now. Does that seem?
We haven't heard from the other 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And again, we would look at how it moves forward, and we can adjust that at any time based on what we think.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's another change in that 7.6.4, which is to change emergency management coordinator to emergency manager. That's something that I also talked to Chief Brower about today as we repost that position. That's the title for the position across the board for all cities. So I think we should call it kind of what it is. And so if everybody's okay with that, we'll change that from emergency management coordinator to emergency manager.
Sounds good.
Any issues with that? Okay. All right, those are the primary changes. I would like to actually let you know that that support Annex F, I was gonna say if we don't review things annually, that would still need to be updated annually, but now that's a moot point. Support Annex T is our recovery and mitigation funding. I wanted to let you know that from my standpoint, that right now is kind of a moving target. There's a lot of changes at the federal level in terms of grant management, who is directing what and where it's going, and it hasn't really landed yet. So I have not had the opportunity, I would not, I think, have the opportunity to be able to change anything according to what those updates become before October 10th. But that's something that you should definitely be aware of, that FEMA is changing and DHS is changing, and some of those volunteer organizations active in disaster, those are changing. And so where some of those funding streams come from, just be aware that they may not be reflective after some amount of time what is currently in the emergency operations plan in Annex T, but I don't have the information yet to be able to fix that. So just to be aware. And that's probably it for the emergency operations plan specifically, and then I just have a couple of other things that I'd like to review quickly once you've adopted that. Any other concerns or points of discussion on the EOP?
And thank you for that separate link, Adam, with all 438 pages of this document.
I'm sure you all read all of them.
Did you read it?
No.
The nice thing is all those support annexes, right, are there for your reference. And so if you need to find a mutual aid agreement, it's there. If you need to find an evacuation order, it's there. If you need to find something that supports the response, it's in those annexes. And the primary plan is in those first 100 pages.
That's
Very
awesome.
good.
So can we move on this, and then you'll present the rest? Okay.
Yeah.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-19-R as presented.
All right, we have,
Say as.
Oh,
with-
as-
With the.
Oh.
With the annual language reinserted.
Second.
all right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hooley, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. Any further discussion? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Okay,
Motion
perfect.
carries.
A couple of other points of discussion. I just want to let you know of a couple of things moving down the pipeline. MAG does a pre-disaster mitigation plan that gets renewed. I think every 5 years they start to work on that kind of 2 years after it's been approved. And so we've just started that process. I just went to the first meeting with that and filled out some surveys. And as they proceed with that, it'll probably be Adam Cowie who ends up following up on that unless he punts it to the new emergency manager. So that is happening. And then also we have what's called a special response team in Utah County, the SRT, Utah County SRT. That is a team that operates the heavy rescue apparatus out of Provo, and there's also a hazmat apparatus, and they do all of the specialty responses that are necessary. So that could be swift water, ice rescue, machine extraction, trench rescue, high angle rescue, hazmat. I know I'm missing some, but there's 7 or 8 or 9, and they're all they're specialty types of rescues. They have one apparatus for that currently, and the team members from that come from different fire departments. So there's always somebody on who is available to do those types of special responses. So there are folks from, I think, 7 different jurisdictions right now that provide team members. So they do the training, they provide the specialty gear, the personal protective equipment for those operations. Orem has actually just rejoined the team, I believe. So one thing that you should know is that they are looking at a Utah County-wide interlocal agreement. It is not officially happened yet, but that's something that's coming down the pipeline that you'll need to be aware so that we can access the special response team responses. Just so you know, I heard you guys talk about the schools and how things are shifting there. We are going to have a meeting with the schools here in Lindon looking at off-campus evacuation and reunification planning, particularly in light of the fact that the districts are changing, so that we can try to set ourselves up with appropriate plans and mutual aid for good school responses, not just with our police department who trains with them all the time, but also school to school. And then September 15th, the city drill, along with the food drive, what we thought we would do is actually invite you to come and participate with the food drive and to have the interaction with the public and being able to help unload trailers and cars and things like that. But if you do decide to come to that, I will probably pull you aside for 10 to 15 minutes and talk about some special things that you should consider about volunteer management, donation management, points of distribution within a disaster. There's some very specific training that I would like to do that's along the same lines as that food drive. And then last, Melinda Slater is right here in the back of the room. Some of you know her. She's a longtime Lindon resident. We've also talked about storms. She's a master NPA at UVU, so Masters of Public Administration. And I was set up with her through a fellow emergency manager who works down in Santa Quinn and also PhD works at UVU, looking for a needs assessment. And it happens that I have recognized a need. We had somebody from the National Weather Service come in, Adam was a part of that meeting, and talk about that big storm that we had last August. Mm-hmm. And I learned some really interesting things. One of the things that we learned is that they have radar that basically misses Utah County. They can see high-level data, but they can't see ground-level data because of mountain interference. And so it's a bit of a black hole. So when it came to that storm back in August, I don't know if you guys remember, we got a emergency alert about halfway through it happening. It didn't happen, we didn't get the alert until partway through. We learned that part of the reason for that is they had actually 2 other storms that exact same day that had the exact same structure, looked the same, were totally dry. And so they were trying to decide whether to kind of push the button on an alert, but didn't have that ground level data and didn't actually realize it was hailing and raining like that until halfway through our 15-minute storm. So I asked them whether it was possible to put in some ground level weather stations and feed that data back up to the National Weather Service and the National Ocean, I'm not gonna say it, NOAA. And they said yes, and it's probably not that expensive. And so that's something that I thought that I would kind of look into and do, and just see feasibility, whether that would work, and whether or not we could put something down in Lindon near the marina, and even maybe around the lake at different locations. I'm not going to have time to finish up on that, and so I wanted to actually introduce Melinda and a companion of hers. You may have seen the gentleman in the back, Uday Teki, they're going to help me to look into that and see if there's a possibility of putting in a weather station here in Lindon, and then also potentially working with other jurisdictions to get some of that ground level data so we can.
I'd recommend you coordinate with the Utah Lake Authority.
Yes,
So-
Utah Lake Authority is on our list. And that's actually one of the things, that's one of the data points that we really want, because there are unfortunately a lot of drownings out there when the wind kicks up, because it's such a shallow lake. And so we would like to be able to read the things that are going on around the lake a little faster and give out warnings a little sooner.
I serve as the vice chair of ULA.
That's good to know.
And then I can get you the staff in contact. They already have 22 different access points that ULA coordinates and manages. So,
And that's
with live
exactly
check-
what we're looking for, those types of access points. And then we just have to determine, we won't get into it here.
Okay.
That's for Melinda and Uday and I to talk
chat
about, but
offline.
Mayor, I would love to
Sure.
talk to you about that. That would be a really great entry point for that. Okay, that is all I have. Thank you very much, and thank you for the last 17/7 years. I appreciate it. And here's Chief. I should leave.
Stay right there. Stay right
I
there.
think he probably wants you to stay.
We're going to give her a formal send-off over, and we'll send that email out. But just personally, coming into this position 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, been in this career for about 28 years now, and have been part of pretty substantial disasters and flooding and fires throughout the county. But as far as emergency management goes, Kelly's awesome. I've been around quite a few on a federal level, state level, interacted, and Kelly's been phenomenal. I've just let her run, and obviously she's fully capable. I haven't had to get in the middle of anything. She's done phenomenal. We're probably not going to be able to replace her, her caliber, but we're going to try. But she's laid a phenomenal foundation, and thank you. Formally, we'll give you a later.
Leave.
I have really appreciated, actually, Chief's faith in me and the autonomy that I've been given to be able to kind of tackle the things that I've seen as needs, and I appreciate that support from all of you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes item number 9, and we will now move on to item number 10. Very excited about this as well. We have the UDOT agreement for road construction funding. You might recall that we put in a special request from UDOT to contribute a significant amount of funding towards a needed intersection to be completed at 4th North and State. And between staff and myself, we were able to get that across the finish line. So this is the formal agreement now for that $1 million in funding to come to Lindon. So we'll let Mr. Cowie go ahead and present.
Yeah, just as FYI, in your packet was the draft agreement, and then UDOT just sent this morning the final that I emailed to everybody today. There was just a small change in the wording. Essentially, the agreement lays out that UDOT will transfer $1 million as long as we have begun construction. And what they're identifying that as is just we've awarded a bid. And so all we do is send an invoice. This is almost like a grant is how this is being treated. And so the Transportation Commission approved moving the pot of money around to allow this to occur. So once we've started the project, the agreement does say that we have to start within 2 years of signing this agreement. then we have to complete that within 2 years after receiving the money. So technically, we would have 4 years to complete this, 2 years to start it, if that makes sense. So that would put us starting this at about this time in 2027 would be the latest we could start the construction of the road
Also, in
to
working,
receive the
yeah,
million.
we're hoping to stack additional funding to cover the cost of this. So we've had some good movement also with MAG, Mountain Land Association of Governments. So I anticipate on my next executive council meeting, we've already gotten through with staff. They've kind of fast-tracked getting this on the RTP. Typically, the RTP is a document that's only amended about every 4 years, and we would have missed that cycle. But they helped do some workarounds there, so it's on the amended RTP for the executive council coming up, I believe, hopefully my next meeting. Anticipate we'll be able to get that amendment added. It was presented and there were no qualms with the MAG board. So once it's on the RTP, that is funding we can receive on the back end after the road is completed as well. So.
And I, just as an FYI, I shot Bob and Kendall a message this morning of, okay, what's our next steps for either corridor preservation? If we're still eligible, I don't know.
Corridor
or-
preservation's a little trickier. You have to have not, there was a question on, you're supposed to not have engaged with the property owner prior to working with MAG on corridor preservation, so they were gonna check on that and.
Yeah, or the RTP process, so we'll see what they say
Yeah.
too. The other thing I want to make sure that you're aware of, in the agreement, it says that should UDOT determine a median is needed down on this 200 North intersection, and a median across State Street there, that the city council will support that. So
What does
we've
that
kind of
mean,
had,
support that?
The same question.
We'll give them money.
I think, yeah, we're not gonna have a resolution and oppose their action. We're not gonna hold any opposition
The intent is
attempts,
to
so-
redo the crash data once the signal at Fourth North is fully flowing, and then determine if that has ameliorated some of the data that was of a concern at that other intersection. So kind of take it step by step, and if this helps, then it won't be necessary. But if they deem it still necessary, they would want us to support
So this, yeah,
additional
they're just
traffic
saying
management there.
agree to support. No,
No, they're not at this
Let
point
it
saying we'd have to pay for it. It is a UDOT road. But in asking them to contribute to this intersection first, as a first step, hopefully it won't be necessary, but we'll see.
Lincoln, it's a great question because technically it's a state highway and they don't need our approval anyway.
Yeah.
But this was something that was floated as part of it was an option
Right,
as
right.
part of the discussion on this traffic signal at 200 North. And so something that we've reviewed, we've given comments back, and so I think they're just wanting to make sure that we're on board.
So none of this legalese would commit us to a financial, okay. I can say rah, 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 go all day long, so. And then
Other than
the 4 years, so 2 years we have to start, but the start can be just awarding a bid.
Yes.
And it's 2 more years and it's completed. Does that make any of our staff nervous with those timing deadlines? Is that reasonable? Is that?
Should be
Reasonable.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Plenty of
Closed? Have we
notice.
closed on the Thornton property?
No, so we are under contract, our earnest money's gone hard on that, and then we are waiting to finalize this agreement, and then hopeful that we can still work with MAG to go through a couple processes to get some more money through them to help go towards the construction. If we can wrap that up, our deadline to close is the end of October, but if we can wrap it up sooner with MAG, we'll do that.
And I know it's spaghetti on the wall, but if the Bible Church were to purchase some property, could we take those funds and apply that to this?
You could, if that's what the council chose to do. I have been in communication with them, and they said they would love to buy some property, but they don't have any funding.
Exactly.
And so
He told us
it
the
was
same thing.
Yeah, and so they've given that interest to us in writing, and
Yeah.
we'll keep that in mind as we
Yeah,
decide what to do with the property. So.
Not going to the bank on that one.
All right, council, so this is a review and action item here with the UDOT agreement. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agreement between UDOT and Lindon City for the 400 West, 400 North project funding as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Stewart, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and staff, Adam, and everyone that's been involved in this. I think this is an important thing and a great safety addition to our city. Appreciate it.
Grants are the best. I still think we should incentivize grants. I'm dead serious, to our
That's a great
employees.
segue. So we are talking about policies and procedures here.
All right,
So,
item number 11 here.
Before I dive into this, so we have a list of a resolution and then a list of updates that we've made to the Lindon City policies and procedures. Some of these are fairly minor. I've given you a summary, and then I hope this worked where I linked, and does it go to the exact page? Maybe. When I click on it, it goes just to the first page, but when.
Just goes to the first page, but then
Okay.
I just
It
use
depends on
Control
what type
F.
of, yeah,
and it
I don't
worked.
know, it depends on what type of Adobe you're using, so. So, let me just skim through some of these. The entire manual with these updates included is posted on our website. I just did that just to give a place for it to link. We will send this summary out to employees. They're required to look this through. One thing that Jake's brought up several times is this grant incentive policy, and we're working on a draft and reviewing that with our department heads over the next couple weeks. It's not ready to approve tonight, but it should be ready soon. And so, yeah.
Can you help
So
me
just to let
understand
you
what
know
that
that
means
that's-
just briefly?
If one of our employees goes out and gets $1 million grant, free money to the city, that we give them
Oh,
a
okay.
kickback.
That-
Kickback's probably the wrong word, an incentive for finding that grant and bringing that money in.
Sounds good.
Does that
The draft, I've got kind of a matrix and a scoring system of, hey, is this, how much time does this take? And is this something that there's money already budgeted for? You just have to submit something. Is it competitive? So we'd have a score, and essentially then the score determines an incentive dollar amount. So it's a great idea, and it'll be much appreciated. And so we'll get that to you soon, but not tonight. So.
My dream is that you have employees that would never be thinking about grants or free money for the
Right.
city that are gonna say, oh, I can do that, and I'm gonna go research all these grants. Could be great.
So I love to discuss the pros and cons of everything, right? Does this, I mean, we had a similar thing in the IT industry where we were encouraged to find patents that we could help promote and have. Would this create an environment where an employee stops doing their regular job as they're just trying to go out and get grants all the time?
No, it's not that lucrative.
Okay,
To be honest, and so this would be a good pat on the back, thank
Yeah.
you, but, yeah,
Yeah, sounds just like what we did in the IT industry, and that was a great thing.
okay. Just a couple of things that I just want to bring to your attention. Again, most of these are pretty minor. The third party, this is new, if there's an action or something, complaint or.
I just wanted to mention something really quick. There's a new law, there's a federal law on kickbacks, and I'm concerned this could be federally not allowed. It's ECRA. There's a kickback law federally that was passed not too long ago. I'll talk with you about something privately with our council of a situation I know of a resident who is in hot water federally, and I think government employees cannot get kickbacks. I think we'll need to research that and just make sure it's it's clean and covered, or
Yeah.
maybe it's a gift card for, go have a night, night out with someone versus a percentage. There's,
Yeah, we're not talking a percentage.
yeah,
Yeah,
but any
So-
kickback, there are kickback laws now
okay,
for government employees. So,
okay,
anyway.
thanks. We'll make note to review that. So this is something new, just clarification that the city attorney or a third-party attorney will investigate any harassment or discrimination claims made against the city administrator. The current wording is that all the claims go to the city administrator, and so I just wanted to clarify that if it's something against that position, then there's an avenue to evaluate that without any conflicts. We had a situation a while back where we were investigating an issue. I had placed an employee on administrative leave, and then that employee left town, and we needed them to be here and available. And so we're clarifying that if you're placed on administrative leave for any sort of evaluation, disciplinary or not, you've got to be available with 24-hour notice. And so that was new. Let's see. Some of these others we added, this is something we've been actually implementing since we have the K-9. There's some federal requirements on K-9 handler overtime pay that's required for their care and maintenance of the K-9, so that's been added to the policy manual. The other things are really minor. We added some clarification. There's some differential pay that's already in the policy. It's current practice, and just clarified some information there. This is another new one. We've unfortunately ran into a scenario where this impacted us, and clarification that existing policy that certain city positions, including police officers, CDL drivers would be the other thing that we would regularly be looking at. Anything that has a federal certification or license, such as a ability to carry a firearm, or the CDL is a federally regulated program to drive large vehicles. Those positions are prohibited from using medical cannabis if such use may jeopardize that federal funding, a federal security clearance, or other federal background determination. So we've added that information into our policy manual. So it's black and white, it's right there, and the employees will be expected to know about that. Use of medical marijuana for most other positions is regulated through the state and is permitted. And so just as an FYI. Then just a quick clarification on social media. So any questions on any of those that you want to dive into more? If not,
On the social media,
mhm.
that clarification is on their personal socials, not just professional.
We do reference that in the policy. So it says that, let's see here. If they have accounts, it should properly identify themselves.
It says representing the city there, so I didn't,
Right, there is a section that we talk about enforcement here. Posts, including on personal social media accounts that are harmful, abusive, violent, all of these things could be a reason for disciplinary action through the city. And so we've all seen that in the news where somebody says or does or posts something really terrible and they're held accountable for that, even if it's on a personal page. If it's clear that they are a representative of the city, that's where that line comes in. And so I think that protects us, Mayor.
all right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion, Mayor, if that's okay.
Please.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2025-20-R as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. Any further questions or comments on the motion? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so very much. on that update on the policy. That brings us to item number 12, to discuss potential purchase or sale of real property and go into a closed session here. I'd like to first hold a recess, if I may, a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and have the motion to go in the closed session.
Sounds good.
Right, thank you.
Just stop saying words like kickback and you might be doing a little better.
And it works really good because lots of people. That's not an assignment, that's not usually considered, and I think that helps him feel better about putting that assignment language in there, yeah. That was a big point we hammered with Ivory for quite a while, so I feel good about that assignment language. Although technically Ivory, when I tweaked it a little bit to say, Ivory said, no, you can't, we're not gonna have you consent to this, and I'm like, oh, no, we went back and forth and finally I said, okay, fine. But you have to notice us and we have to have input, and that language, which shall not unreasonably be withheld, very calm down language in contracts. And so I feel comfortable with that.
So just, this is something you just, your son just found out?
Appendicitis? And my son had his same thing, a fever and crazy and yeah. But it's something actually was right ready to burst. I think the first one he was into surgery, and it was that close. He's not.
So it would be on the east side of the trail, the Lord must have a purpose, right?
To keep the surgeons busy, I guess. It's like mosquitoes.
Just put some random thing in that we can just make some money.
Well, I've been out a couple times.
Yeah, that's the message, right?
I never really touched base with him. Yeah.
Maybe challenge? Yeah.
That was gonna be
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna fly through this, so you can help guide others.
You can't call me fat, Steve.
Keep us safe.
What?
Can't call me fat.
Can't call you fun.
Fat.
I would never.
You can call me well nourished. I've told you that story of the doctor.
That's funny. Well,
There was a lot of stuff kicked up. surprised? No, I always feel like I need to just be ready to say something. Yeah. I'm surprised how fast that reset when I, just on the box that has the videos, just pushed and held the button and then let it sit for like 10 seconds and then just turned it back on. And then the YouTube button came right on as green. So,
Okay.
On the topic of Well Nourished, was in Missouri and then Nauvoo.
you
In
okay?
Kansas City, if you're there, Jack Stack, the restaurant.
Is that barbecue or what is it?
Good, that's barbecue.
Okay.
It is. It will make you not like the ribs you get here anywhere.
Will ruin us.
No, mine's gonna be gone too, so maybe we'll just cancel tomorrow.
And as you know, Kansas City kind of claims that.
I'll catch you. Ours is-
Tyler, some of it's very well deserved. Memphis does some pretty good stuff. And my son-in-law, John, lived in Memphis for like 5 years, was with optometry school. So I can make your recommendations for there, I couldn't give you anything for that.
We're gonna close this session and all the public has to leave.
All right, council, we'll go ahead and resume. We need to go enter into a closed session, so if we could please have a motion with a roll call, and then we'll go into the closed session. This is item
I
number
make a
12.
motion to go into a closed session for the city council to discuss potential purchase or sale of real property and pending or possible litigation per Utah code.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. Let's go ahead and have our roll call.
Van Broderick, aye.
Carolyn Lundberg, aye.
Steve Stewart, aye.
Jake Hoyt, aye.
All right,